Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a really long time. I miss doing this, and so now I'm back and I'm excited to pay more attention to this channel. As you can see, I have like a nicer background now. I really am trying to be legit and bring you really cool movie reviews like the one I have today. We are going to be discussing The Bad Guys. It's a DreamWorks Pictures and Universal Studios distributed animated film. It stars Sam Rockwell, Craig Robinson, Mark Maron, Awkwafina, Anthony Ramos in the lead roles, and Lily Singh, Richard Ayoade, Zazie Bates, and Alex Borstein round out the rest of the cast. The movie is about a group of bad guys terrorizing Los Angeles when they finally get caught for their crimes. The leader of this misfits wolf pack, Mr. Wolf, decides to have the group lie their way through a behavior rehabilitation program to avoid jail. However, Mr. Wolf realizes that there may be more to being good than he realized. This movie is really cute and the animation is refreshing, and there kind of seems to be some sort of like religious messaging that I noticed that kind of really resonated with me throughout the film, that kind of like snuck in there. But it's unfortunately way too paper thin of a plot for me to recommend that you spend your money on, and I'll tell you why. Once again, this movie is about Mr. Wolf and his group of friends, Mr. Snake, Mr. Tarantula, Mr. Shark, and Mr. Piranha, an elite team of thieves that have gotten away with being bad for so long, despite an ambitious and ruthless cop constantly on their tail. We don't get any backstory about how they became thieves or how they became friends. We just meet them here in this point in time. Also, this movie is quite focused on Wolf's spiritual transformation, and the others are not given nearly enough airtime to justify their characters. They're merely along for the ride. As seen in the trailer, in the middle of a heist job, Mr. Wolf accidentally saves an old lady, and she sweetly pats him on the back and calls him a good boy, sending his tail wagging a mile a minute with joy. He begins to chase that feeling throughout the movie while trying to hold on to his old life and friends. But in life, you can't really hold on to two contradictory existences. You're gonna love and be more loyal to one side than the other. Shout out Matthew 6:24. You always have to choose a side, basically. The animation is very cool, and it seems less like computer graphics and more like paintings come to life. That's really the first thing I noticed with this film. It also has a really great opening scene. Wolf and Snake are eating at this seemingly empty diner, having like a casual conversation about random things. And as they leave, the camera pans and we see the diner is actually full of customers cowering in the corner in full fear of the two criminals that are just sitting there eating dinner. They pay for the food and they're very coolly walk off to their car to rescue the other three who are in the middle of the job. Those refreshing aspects made me a little more intrigued to keep watching and certainly elevated the movie, but the effects wore out pretty easily once you realize that there isn't too much there in terms of story and creativity and kind of world building. There was only really one laugh out loud moment for me. So in the middle of their behavioral rehabilitation program, they're tasked with having to save a kitten. So they all do it at the same time, like yelling for the cat to come down, but they're burying their like canine teeth at the cat the whole time. The cat's like traumatized. It was actually really funny and well done. Beyond that though, there's really not too much to say about The Bad Guys. The trailer quite literally gives away most of the movie because there's really not that much to save. A wolf realizes that maybe it's better to live in peace than in iniquity. That's it. It's pretty clear who the villain is kind of the second you meet them, and it's not really too exciting and it leaves you yawning as the movie winds down. The Bad Guys is apparently based on a children's book by this Australian author named Aaron Blabey, and I wish it offered more complexity or at least more edginess than what can be found in that book maybe. But there were some moments, some thematic moments in this movie that made me think like, I think there's some like Christian messaging going on here, at least religious messaging, because there isn't a Jesus-like figure in this. And the only like theologically sound thing I noticed is that, you know, Christianity preaches how your behavior, your values, your philosophy will change once you encounter Jesus. And that's kind of what happens here with Wolf. You know, when the woman kind of pats him on the shoulder and says, "You're a really good boy." It's kind of like hearing that he was like loved for the first time. It was like the gospel was planted in his head. And from that moment on, he starts to do good, and over time, naturally begins to do good things and gravitate towards being a loving, helpful member of society. And as Wolf starts to change from the inside out, he begins to notice that he doesn't really have that much in common with his friends who are still determined to be thieves. He does soon find companionship and a confidant in the governor of this Los Angeles animal town, who kind of encourages him to do good and hold on to his righteousness. It's a storyline that's pretty prominent in plenty of movies, I think, but this one specifically brought me back to like youth group days, with like the pastor being like, sometimes when you become a Christian, some of your old friends may not really, fit with your new lifestyle anymore, and you have to like watch out for that. We may not relate to other kids anymore once you decide to kind of live this moral and like spiritual new life. And we were always taught how important it was to seek out other like-minded Christians to kind of encourage you in the faith. And it just feels like that's like exactly what was happening in this movie. And I was like, my Christian antenna is going. That being said, because of that, maybe like a youth group would enjoy watching this movie one night or something like that. But I can't really recommend it, unfortunately. There are too many better, captivating films about morality that you can enjoy before paying for this. And that is the Mondazir critique. I'll see you guys later.